Good day there. I'm so happy to have an audience watching. My name is Elaine Joseph, and I am recording this to tell you a little bit about me and my story. I haven't prepared anything. I don't know if that's a good idea. I just thought it's better for me to run this by myself and explore some of the events that have happened, some of the emotionality that has taken place. I just had just people sort of harass me this morning, so I think I was fine the whole day, but now when I think about it, just having to sit with that and have that be normal, I think it's starting, it just puts me in a very somber position. I'm the daughter of my mother, and she's made truckloads of money before through her business. She comes from a family of 4, and her mother passed away when she was 10. She was replaced by her stepmother, who made the lives of all 4 of them very difficult. Fast forward maybe 40, 50 years later, my mother lost 2 of her siblings, my 2 aunts, one through marriage. The husband, my uncle, killed her, and the other through a best friend, as well as a community of people. And my one aunt was supposed to also leave, and on the day that she boarded a plane to leave, they stopped her, and yeah, I haven't spoken to her since. I won't say the rest. I think it goes without saying. When you realize that people's lives are on the line for resources that don't belong to these people are after us, it's a reality of my situation that I tend to bury. Another thing with regards to that is these are things that we have given up and not wanted in exchange for the freedom to just live normally. And that still makes this syndicate fearful, because the rightful owners are still roaming. And the easiest way for me to make it make sense, because talking about myself with regards to this situation is very tough. I don't know if anyone knows a story from the Bible of Athaliah. I don't know it that well. I need to have a look just to get the details right. Most of the time I grasp the gist or the overarching story more than the details. But Athaliah was the daughter of Jezebel and the wife of Ahaz. And I don't know who she was married to. I don't know if it was Uzziah, but I think she was queen through marriage or through her son. And I don't know if her husband passed away. I don't know what happened to him, but she wanted to continue being queen through her son. And so she wanted to kill the offspring of all those that were heir to the throne. Don't know how that would have worked. I don't understand it, but the aunt of those kids, she took the oldest and she fled. She was ruling as queen. Then the oldest son, when he was old enough to take the throne, came back and took the throne. I'm going to have to research that and maybe put a link of it in the description if you're interested. I know anything that comes from the Bible, sometimes it's taboo to speak religion or biblical things or anyone's beliefs. This is the best way for me to describe it. This stepmother of my mother's, my step-grandmother, is like Athaliah. I liken her to Athaliah. I don't know what she thinks she would be the queen of. Maybe it's my mother's riches, maybe it's my granddad's inheritance. But she is the backbone of the inception of a lot of the things that have taken place in our lives now. Fast forward to now, I think a lot of people have been signing up to this mission. A lot of it I don't understand. I know someone else understands it, but I guess I'm deluding myself to stay as far away from the details as possible, because it's the only way that I can stay sane. But people, because of that persecution, people have, instead of concealed us or protected us from it, they've taken advantage to take out loans against this prospect of having a share in this money. And that has led to a lot of the things that have happened to us, with people not really wanting us to be free from these trials, because our freedom is very much linked to trafficking. I won't go into detail. I don't know if that's safe for me not to. If I'm going to mention it, might as well mention it now, right? But the deal was to bury us within the trafficking system. I think that might be a deal that my father sort of prepared us for, raised us for, and one that he's still trying to perpetuate. That's his leverage and his power at the moment, I think. And so, in trying to capture us in the system, what has happened, because of the grace of God and our being vigilant, we've caught out a lot of the tactics that people use, a lot of which they're still perpetuating these tactics. A lot of people have sold their soul for their freedom. And I say freedom in inverted commas because they're enslaved to this system that has captivated them. So when people are sent out to mob, surveil, harass, they're sent against their will, whether they want to or not, or by sheer investment in the outcome. They're enslaved to a cause that affects their livelihood. Sure. I think I'm just talking about that portion of it because of what happened this morning, and I'm tying it all the way back to the beginning, a lot of which I just don't have the stomach to kind of go through the details of the things that have happened. I've had to take up a case against my own designated lawyer because he tried to tank our case, taking bribes. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the housing situation, where the landlord was orchestrating a lot of harassment that was happening. I don't know why the sun's coming out. It's been so gloomy the whole day. I don't know why it's coming out now. But he was orchestrating the harassment that was taking place on us in the place that we were staying at. Had a stable place as far as stability goes in terms of your psychological health being affected by people that are perpetuating crimes such as noise pollution, having these banging sounds, amongst other things. Even within my employment, I've never had it easy because all people in the workplace are consistently toxic, and they perpetuate these toxic beliefs. I've had people stand up for me. First place of work, there was one guy who wasn't a regular in this particular branch. He was always a regular somewhere else, but when he did come there, I think there were things that he saw that just didn't make sense to him, that might have gotten on his nerves. And I wouldn't say he stood up for me per se, but he stood up for, or stood against, the microaggressions that these particularly women were perpetuating. And I think eventually, I don't know, I think he was getting married at the time. So I think when you have a significant other, this thought of not standing up for, but preferring someone who happens to be a female becomes taboo, and people use that to blame you for not focusing on your own relationship. So I think he sort of caved into the system. It was the same with my current place of work. Again, I spoke about this on the previous video, where the only place of work that I tend to be able to get is one that's very closely linked to ministers or anything political, which as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm politically neutral. So again, I don't have much to say on these political topics, but I think I had someone that did stand up for me, and he was subject to emotional abuse and gaslighting and manipulation. He left for himself. The last thing he did do was speak up against the tactics that were used to make me feel overwhelmed and isolated at work. One of them being, and I actually so happened to have written about it, that I don't know, I was just being held to my own standard, which was not a company standard. And that's a way to sort of chip away at someone's confidence when something that they're proud of, you want to make it seem like they don't have that quality anymore, whereby so much to say on that. I was sleeping in the car while working full time and experiencing an overload of work because a job that should have been done by 4 employees was now being done by 3 employees. And you think about, if you don't have to pay one extra person, that's cheaper, but now I had more workload of someone that is absent. That went on for months. Employees weren't being retained. High employee turnover rate. And I was just amongst people's conversation about the toxicity of the owner and how so many people couldn't take it. Yeah, people come in for a month, 2 months. Someone was there for 6 months. Someone was there maybe a year or a couple of years. They loved working with their colleagues, hated the owner, and the owner's friend, whom I'll touch on a little bit later. There's so much to say on this topic. I did try to outline it. Right now, I actually wasn't even trying to talk about it at all. I was trying to talk about my own story, but it's just so hard to get to. I have this comedic way of trying to pretend my problems don't exist and exist in the same reality as everybody else, so as not to step on anyone's toes. I don't know if that's helpful, like actually helpful, or if it's delusional of me. But as it is the way I've chosen to cope. So I really need to figure out a way to do so, because my lifestyle at present isn't sustainable. Right now, just that mobbing tactic from the morning, coupled with what happened yesterday, Yesterday, one of the things I didn't mention is one guy with his mobbing tactic took a photo from across the street. I'll try to draw it out for you on the street map. I was crossing this way to get to this side of the street. He was on this side, on the other side, so like opposite like this, two opposing sides on different blocks. As I passed, he followed me with his cell phone camera, but then when I'm looking at him, he's trying to be oblivious. When I looked away, he was direct. So at the point he was direct, I directly came toward him and asked him if he was aware of some of the events that were taking place in Hollywood. And he froze. He looked very shook. I can't even describe the look on his eyes, where it's like someone just traveled to another dimension, the dimension of reality, and then the dimension of like the fourth wall down, because you're living this lie. And he even genuinely thanked me for telling him. And I thought, geez, do I know something that your own syndicate is not telling you? Like, I shouldn't be privy to this information. You should. And just give me 1 second. My sister's here. Yeah, she was just checking on my whereabouts. When he walked away, it's like he was a baby calf. Well, I guess it's redundant, because it's like he had seen a ghost, he had heard of a ghost, and he eventually walked into the nearest building, put a code in, and just walked up. So it's kind of the sense I got, and I'm just talking about my own perception of the situation, was that he was disillusioned, and as a member of the syndicate has these codes to these buildings to make them disappear if they need to. And he put the code in the building, went up. It was like School of Rock. It's like one of those very, you have to know where you're going kind of place. Whereas the way he's taking footage, it's under the guise of like being a tourist. So someone who doesn't know their environment knows to exactly where to go and the code of this one building. Didn't even have a lot on him, just his jacket and the phone. Not very believable. So that's something that happened I didn't talk about yesterday. Another thing that happened was them interfering with the Wi-Fi and then being in a workspace where a lot of people were surveilling. There was a guy with tattoos all the way down his neck, his back, the back of his arms, the back of his legs. He looks like a personal trainer. And he was like giving my sister this dirty look. He's giving me a dirty look. Then he went somewhere, and then an influx of people walking out, including young women with young boys, but the women are dressed like whores. In these very small booty shorts, a lot of makeup, fake lashes. And I don't know if you've seen a wayward woman, like the way they walk, it's just like this, I don't know, like they just make this jesting almost, like they're drunk on immorality. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, yeah, they had the movement of some like immoral people. And while I want to kind of question their choices in life, I also know that, and I think I spoke about this in a video, so it might be redundant again, sometimes people fake relationships. These young boys that are part of these groups, they fake a relationship with these girls to get them in the practice of, doing immoral things with them, so that they now know that these things you've been doing, you do it with me, you could do it with anyone else, even some of the customers that we have on board willing to pay for your services. So I don't know how we got from where I was in the beginning of this video to this. There's so much to talk about. So much I probably won't even get around to talking about, just because I don't want to go there. Putting these on. Just, I think, maybe subconsciously, I feel like this is a mask. Keeps you from seeing me underneath. or behind the glasses. I feel safer that way. I really want to tell you everything in a succinct, even chronological way, in a way that makes sense. I don't think I'm making sense right now. I think this is more therapy for me to just let go of it. Ironically, the more I talk on it, the more anxious, more anxiety I feel lodged right here. So I'm gonna stop and I'm just gonna get to work finally. Just thought I might try to alleviate myself of the stress, but if anything, I think I might have made it worse. Maybe it gets better after some time. Who knows?